Thanks, Alex. I appreciate you guys having me. Like Alex said, my name is Dominic DelCol. I'm a supervisor in the Traffic Management Center. Just give you start off with a brief overview of where we started and where we ended up, and just a little different than the other presenters. This whole presentation is basically a lesson learned. So to start off, our first site became operational in about 2010 in Columbus, Ohio, on I-70 eastbound, about a mile outside of downtown Columbus. It's actually the upper right image in the image that you see right there. Um, by 2015, we had expanded to 5 sites statewide, and by statewide, I mean Cincinnati and Columbus. And these sites were radar and radio activated. And for anybody that's familiar with these types of systems, they're very unreliable. And these are pre-probe data days for the older people in the audience. Basically, there were Doppler radars like on a pole set, downstream about a mile or so. Rain would set them off. They were highly unreliable. They were off more than they were on. Just very bad systems. So basically, what ended up happening is the TMC ended up posting time of day messages, morning rush, evening rush, which were only slightly more reliable, but they required constant babysitting. Like for instance, like if it was a holiday and there wasn't any, traffic, we would have to take them down, or maybe rush hour started a little late, or etc. Right. So this process lasted about 10 years. The signs were basically an afterthought. They were often taken offline for long periods of time, even during construction, which would probably be the most helpful time to have these signs activated, to alert, alert vehicles ahead of queues. Next slide, please. This is just an image of one of our sites in Cincinnati. As you can see, it looks like it's in the middle of a snowstorm, and this is actually when it was active in the middle of construction. This is one of our 2 locations in Cincinnati. Next slide, please. So this takes us up to almost present day. So on November 14th in 2023, there was a fatal bus crash just outside of Columbus, Ohio on westbound I-70. Traffic was queued up due to an incident on the right shoulder about a mile ahead of the crash. The bus was carrying a high school band from Eastern Ohio to Columbus, Ohio to perform a concert. A semi-truck traveling at an excessive speed collided with an SUV. Inside the SUV were a teacher and 2 chaperones. The SUV then collided with the bus with such force it took hours before first responders even realized there was a vehicle between the semi-truck and a charter bus. ODOT knew for years that end-of-queue crashes were a major problem and only getting worse, mostly due to distracted driving. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes a tragic event to cause change. So, important note, during this time frame, ODOT was in the midst of a massive expansion of our wrong-way detection system, which is also a major issue, obviously. So systems were in Cincinnati. We had locations added. There was locations were added in Cincinnati. The Dayton system was just coming online. Cleveland was just being installed. So our ITS section basically had to make a hard pivot and use some of the same technologies being used in the wrong way systems to install a whole new from scratch queue warning system on the fly. We actually had to borrow a queue warning sign from another location to speed up the process. Otherwise, we would have had to wait several months once you add in the time for ordering the sign, getting the sign commissioned, etc. With the help of our ATMS provider, they stopped all of our enhancements that we had off working on to focus on the queue warning site at State Route 310 where this bus crash was. Next slide, please. So this is Governor DeWine. This is actually at the site of that bus crash. So this is actually the day before we unrolled the new location at State Route 310. So you're actually looking westbound towards Columbus. So as you can see, traffic is actually queued up pretty far. And this location is about 10 or 15 miles outside the city of Columbus, heading into the city. As you can see, he's actually pointing at the queue and people diving off into the left shoulder. It's estimated that there were a total of 8,800 end of queue highway crashes in Ohio in 2023. So this is the exact location of that bus crash a few months earlier. So it is a normal occurrence during morning rush hour. The site became active on February 15th, about 3 months to the day of the fatal crash. In ITS project terms, I mean, it's almost moving at light speed. So from the bus crash to the installation of the new site was about 3 months, which is unbelievable in our terms. Next slide, please. So this is that. Oh, could you go back a slide? I think we skipped one, maybe. There we go. Okay. Yep, there we go. So this is actually that new site out at State Route 310. It actually uses fixed queue detection cameras. They're actually mounted on a pole. So this is actually about a half a mile behind where the fatal bus crash was. It's about so that overpass, I don't know if you can kind of see it in the background. So that's actually State Route 310, and the on ramp from 310 to westbound is a heavy merge area and causes a lot of morning congestion. So that's what actually helped cause that crash. Next slide, please. So the new system uses milestone alerts. We use stationary cameras to help detect slowdowns and actually sends alerts through Milestone. Milestone is actually the system we use to view cameras in our traffic management system, or our traffic management center, excuse me. It helps to detect slow and stop traffic. Traffic ahead messages automatically post to queue warning signs through our ATMS. I think there's a video attached. Would you mind playing it? So as you can see, as traffic goes through these areas and goes through the box, it's basically sensing how much time the vehicles are spending inside the red box, and that's what helps trigger the ATMS signs, or to trigger the queue warning signs through our ATMS. Next slide, please. So Milestone, it also sends the TMC an email to notify us of slow traffic, just in case the messages don't automatically post to our queue warning signs. The messages will drop from a sign when no queue is detected for 5 minutes from the last triggered event. The image that you're seeing, this is actually from downtown Columbus. So once no alarm is sensed for 5 minutes, the signs will automatically drop. It is a very reliable system so far. We have had a lot of success with this. Next slide, please. So this is TOAST. So this is Traffic Operation Assessment Systems tool. Basically, what this is, it's a scanning tool to help identify operationally sensitive corridors that may benefit from TSMO strategies. We scored 11,000 corridors statewide using 5 main data categories. So bottlenecks, travel time, TSMO safety, traffic incident management, and traffic volume data. And also we use bottlenecks and travel time probe-based crowdsourced data. And we use all this data along with ODOT district input to help determine the new locations of our new queue warning systems. Next slide, please. So using all of that data, we helped determine 13 locations throughout the state to install these new systems. So these sites will be in and around major urban centers that have been identified by ODOT as high congestion, high crash areas. Once the technology is installed at all 13 sites, ODOT anticipates it will help reduce end-of-queue crashes by at least 16%, which equates to around 1,400 crashes. These sites are expected to be active within 2 years. That's really all I got.